In the year 2000, I was married. I was living in Los Angeles. I'd been sober 13 years. I'd found my way to my lifelong dream of writing. I had a mammogram and they found this little, quote, shadow on it. And right away I was just, cancer, cancer, cancer. But my doctor called on a Friday night. As soon as the phone rang and I saw it was him, I just knew he's not calling me. No one calls on a Friday night at 6 o'clock to say, oh, good news, you didn't have cancer. And he said, I hate to give you this news, but it was malignant. And just that word, I just began writing malignant, malignant, malignant on this Post-it. I would have fallen to my knees if I were not sitting down, because it's just the entire blood just drains out of you. I'd never had any kind of contact with the healthcare profession at all. I was shocked at the profound anti-humane tenor of the entire medical care system. There's no compassion, there's no, this must be hard for you. And more to the point, there's no information. There's, you have cancer, this is what we're going to do. Poison you, slash you, burn you. And the implication was, of course, anyone in their right mind would know this is a small price to pay to survive. And I began to wonder, what does it mean to survive? This culture that we live in, I'm very disturbed by the fact that the kind of central paradigm is a war paradigm. War against poverty, war against drugs, war against cancer. I'm an alcoholic, and fighting a war against my alcoholism had availed me absolutely nothing. It was acceptance, admission of complete defeat, taking responsibility for my life and helping the people around me. It's all about connecting with other people, not trying to annihilate and excise and yank out this monster and burn it. With this cavalier way they talked about just having your breast cut off and having some poison run into your veins that would make your hair fall out, just appalled me. I mean, I like my body. I'm very sort of protective about my body. I treasure my body. If my time is going to be cut short, I want to spend the least possible amount of it in a doctor's office. My goal is to live fully. So I started to contemplate, maybe I'm not going to have this treatment. They're telling you you're going to die. You'll die if you don't have this treatment. And my body and my psyche and my soul and my spirit were telling me something very, very different. I think in the end the question boiled down to, am I going to serve the God of fear, which is the God that says people are going to think you're crazy, people are going to say this and that about you. And by the way, I could die. What if I don't have the treatment and I die? Am I going to make the decision for treatment out of that kind of fear? Or am I going to serve the God of love, which means going deep, deep inside? Cancer for me was a narrowing of the road. And on another level, I was really pondering my marriage. I'd come to writing very late, and writing had always been for me this incredibly mystical, deep, deep vocation. Not just something I wanted to do, which I did more than anything in the world, but something that I was literally called to do, that I had to do, no matter if I made no money, if no one ever read my books. I just knew to the marrow of my bones, this is what I was put here for. And what I was seeing, I'd been married for, I think, 10 years at the time, and I'd gotten married very soon after sobriety, and I really began to see writing for me was a kind of marriage, and that I really only had it in me to sort of have one marriage, that it was literally almost like a monastic vocation, and that my actual marriage perhaps was not going to, that I might have to be stripped of that as well. Another thing about cancer or any illness is, if you're lucky, you're surrounded by people, or you have some people who love you, but you have to go through it alone. It is a true exile. No one else can go through those nights for you when you wake up in the middle of the night and just think, oh my God, I'm going to die of this thing. It's an incredibly lonely, but in that sense, if you have any kind of belief in God, can't help but draw you very, very close. And And that's what it did for me. But you're really stripped down to the really essential questions about how you want to live, how you want to die, what you want to leave behind when you die. It becomes, how can I get through this day? You're very much in the present, because I was in such anxiety and turmoil about how to treat the illness that everything got focused down to that. So I'd already been stripped of my identity as an active alcoholic. I mean, I'd been drunk for 20 years, so that had to have been stripped away. I'd already been stripped away of the notion that I was going to be a lawyer. I'd been trained as a lawyer and make money and have this kind of very safe, secure life. That had been stripped away. So when I got cancer, what was stripped away was this, realized it, but I really thought I had kind of pact with God. I thought, okay, I've had so much sort of suffering in my life. I'm not going to have any more major suffering. I don't know what I was thinking. It kind of took me aback. Oh, no, yeah, I could get cancer too. I think we tend to think, oh, we're just protected from certain things. So that was a delusion that was stripped away. I've always had this deep, holy longing of my heart. And I think what the cancer did was strip and burn and purify so much that had to be pruned and burned away from me, and put a more single-minded focus, because in a sense, evermore I wanted to will the one thing. Most people, I said, are either appalled or feel sorry for you or want to help you when you have cancer. My friend Barbara, I swear, was jealous. Like she thought, oh, this is a wonderful spiritual opportunity for you. No, I did not feel lucky at all. And even now, I don't view my cancer as a blessing. I don't view my cancer as a gift. I view my cancer as a mystery. It didn't make me more grateful, but it brought me deeper into the mystery of the Cloud of Unknowing, and that's the kind of mystical part of the title of my book. Just deeper into the mystery of existence that we don't know, and yet we keep walking, and by our best lights, trying to give everything that we have in whatever time that we have. And questioning, asking the deep questions, and being willing to suffer the consequences of going with what we believe is kind of true north. Not doing the safe thing, the predictable thing, the thing that everyone tells you should do just because that's the thing everyone else does. No, you get to be of service in the way that God chooses, not the way that you choose. And I saw that's going to be the deal with my writing, and it is absolutely proved to be the case. And at the same time, it's not a life I would have imagined, and yet, lo and behold, it's a life that is infinitely richer and fuller than I ever could have imagined for myself, because I would have just cut myself short. Simone Weil, the French intellectual, said absolute attention is prayer. And I think when we just pay attention, we don't have to go halfway across the world. Go outside, take a walk, look at the seed pods on the sidewalk. I mean, I think that kind of attention to just what's around us and the people who are right around us, which are our roommate, our mother, our coworker, all the people were kind of like, oh, if only they'd get out of the way, I could be spiritual. And then you realize, no. This is the deepest spirituality that you can practice. It's just being attentive to what's around you. After we die, we're going to see how the world really works, and we're just going to see all the war, all the huge battleships and were just nothing. They were just so horribly irrelevant and nothing. The United States, nothing. What kept the world going was someone saying, oh my God, there's a bud opening on the verbena. Because it's just always easier to go away by myself and shut the door. And I mean, I get to do a certain amount of that is healthy, what I need for my writing and for my own kind of personal integrity. But I'm also constantly called out into the world. And that's an adventure, because you never know what's going to happen.